Now at 9, the Oklahoma Supreme Court rules on the constitutionality of 2 abortion laws in the state, plus how area authorities are raising awareness of motorcycle safety, and why the Missouri Department of Conservation is considering raising the prices of fishing and hunting permits.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jalen Banks. The Oklahoma Supreme Court rules 2 laws banning abortion in the state are unconstitutional. One of those laws prohibits abortions after a heartbeat is detected, and the other bans abortions in most cases. The court found those laws conflict with previous decisions, one of which found a pregnant woman has an inherent right to end a pregnancy when her life is in danger. Governor Karen Stitt says, and quote, wholeheartedly disagrees with the Oklahoma Supreme Court's use of activism to create a right to an abortion in Oklahoma, end quote. He also says the court is over-involving itself in the state democratic process. MSSU's May Student Life Center building temporarily closes after a car crashes into it. The crash happened just before 11 a.m. today after a motorcycle hit an SUV at Newman Road in Duquesne. After the crash, the SUV then continued driving and crashed into the May Student Life Center at MSSU. Both the motorcyclist and SUV driver were taken to the hospital. Authorities say they were both communicating when taken off scene. No word yet on the severity of the injuries. A motorcycle crash can impact a biker for a lifetime. The road to recovery can be long, but KOAM's Amber Jenkins spoke to one biker who's not letting his recent crash stop his passion.
A truck made a left turn in front of me, and I had to lay my bike down to avoid hitting the truck, and pretty much don't remember anything after that.
Danny Tanner was riding his motorcycle to Joplin when he collided with a truck. He tried to lay down his bike by hitting the brakes and changing the direction of the bike.
He just made a left turn right in front of me. I really don't know anything after that. I hit my head, and when I woke up, everybody was standing over me. That's all I remember.
Tanner isn't just a biker, but is known to his community as Harley Santa. For 3 years, him and his wife hand out candy to kids on their bikes during the holiday season.
Love to see the little kids' smiles, and even the adults. It brings out the kids and the adults.
Reporting in Joplin, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
Since the start of May, there's been at least 4 motorcycle accidents that have changed lives forever. One of the accidents included Larry Bellamy, the second, who was riding his bike at Schifferdecker and 4th Street in Joplin when he was hit by an ice cream van. According to police, the ice cream van pulled out in front of the motorcycle out of neglect. The motorcycle then T-boned the van. Unfortunately, Bellamy died due to his injuries. The driver of the ice cream van was issued a citation for failure to yield. The body of a Cassville, Missouri physician who'd been missing for more than a week has been discovered in northwest Arkansas's Beaver Lake. Dr. John Forsyth disappeared on May 21st after his ER shift at Mercy Hospital in Cassville. A kayaker found his body yesterday. The Benton County Sheriff's Office says he died from an apparent gunshot wound. Witnesses say the weekend was busy at the lake and the body was found in a popular swimming cove, leaving more questions than answers. And now to weather, Chief Meteorologist Doug Keddy joins us.
Well, it turned out to be a good Wednesday for us today. A few isolated thunderstorms, especially late morning into the early afternoon, but really since then it's been pretty nice. You can see some cumulus clouds off in the distance. 86 was our high, 82 is our normal high for this time of the year. Still a few isolated guys out there, mainly in our western counties, but most of us are dry. Most of us will stay dry as we go through the overnight hours for us tonight, but thunderstorm chances picking up again as we get into tomorrow afternoon. 76 Nevada, Anderson, 77, still 79 at Grand Lake. Chanute is sitting at 76 degrees. Through the night, we do drop back low to mid 60s, a few scattered thunderstorms trying to pop up again for us as we head into the daytime hours tomorrow. Of course, I'm going to have those details for you here in just a bit.
All right, we'll see you then. The Missouri Department of Conservation proposes a price hike for most fishing and hunting licenses. KOAM John Nahaldala talked with the MDC officials and some local fishers in Joplin about their thoughts on this.
The Missouri Department of Conservation is proposing an increase for their hunting and fishing permit prices to maintain programs and services.
Most Missouri Department of Conservation permit prices have remained the same for the past 20 years, while the cost for goods and services have increased significantly since then. So to address ongoing rising costs of goods and services compounded at high inflation rates.
According to Missouri Department of Conservation, about $1 changes for residence permits are still far away from prices elsewhere. The costs in surrounding states for resident fishing and hunting permits are approximately double.
Currently, resident hunting and fishing permits are $19, and we're proposing increasing them to $20.50. Still a relatively low cost for recreating in Missouri.
Non-resident permits are seeing bigger increases. Residents fishing in Joplin are not too worried about possible price increases. Daniel Arwood is one of MDC's 2.6 million permit holders for fishing, hunting, and trapping.
It's not a big deal. It actually goes to something worthwhile. So, I mean, it's helping the environment with all the rivers and everything like that. So I don't mind it.
Arwood mentions it's necessary to keep the environment clean from trash.
Got to keep doing what they're doing, I guess. So, I mean, everything's getting more expensive. So, I mean, I can see why.
If proposed prices are approved, changes would come into an effect on February of 2024.
We would like to get input from the public during a public comment period, and residents who would like to submit their comments about increasing our permit prices can do so on our website.
In Joplin, Janna Hautala, KOAM News.
Residents are able to leave comments from July 4th through August 2nd. You can find more information about the permit price proposals on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. If you're in the market for a house, the Crowder Technical Education Center may have the house for you, in a small sense. The trades program with the college has 2 tiny houses they will auction off to the highest bidder. An open house event was held today to showcase the houses. The houses are 12 by 24, include a full kitchen, 3-quarter bath, 11 by 11 loft sleeping quarters, a washer and dryer hookup, and a lot more.
So really, the Tech Center is here to give high school students in the area the opportunity to really try out a skilled trade. So we have programs in a lot of different areas, but specifically for the construction program, not only are they learning skills that they're going to be able to use down the road personally, but if they're interested in a career in construction.
The online auction for the cabins began today and runs through Friday, June 30th at noon. Minimum bid for the cabin is $25,000 per cabin. You can find a link to the online auction, of course, at KOAMnewsnow.com. Summer school is back across the country, and it's bigger than ever in McDonald County, Missouri schools. Officials with the school say enrollment numbers are its highest ever. The school district usually sees around 1,300 students enroll, but this year they are about to have 1,600 sign up.
We had a few rough years when we went through COVID and things got kind of messy, and so I think what we're seeing now is that we're kind of getting back to what was pre-COVID normal routine, and so kids are excited about being in school, and we're, as teachers, we're trying to close some of those gaps that we've seen and do some things to really keep kids engaged.
Summer school will last 23 days. Coming up, a global effort to reduce smoking.
It's World No Tobacco Day. I'm Marianne Rafferty with a look at the consequences health experts say the crop has for our health and the planet's coming up.
Diabetes in women who give birth is on the rise. The CDC looked at data from all births registered in the U.S. between 2016 and 2021 and found a 27% increase in the diagnosis of diabetes in women before they became pregnant. Mothers 40 and older and those who are overweight each had the highest rate of diabetes. The CDC says diabetes in pregnant women increases the risk of infants of fetal death and several birth defects. Scientists in Austria have found a link between obesity and mental health. The study looked at inpatient hospitalizations between 1997 and 2014. They found an obesity diagnosis significantly increases the likelihood of having a mental health disorder across all age groups. Those disorders range from depression to nicotine addiction to anxiety. Women were seen as having an increased risk for the most of the disorder studied. Today marks World No Tobacco Day. It's an event first started by the World Health Organization back in 1987 to raise awareness about how destructive tobacco is for our health and the planet's. Now, decades later, and the WHO is continuing to sound the alarm. Fox News correspondent Marian Rafferty takes a closer look.
On this year's World No Tobacco Day, the World Health Organization says it's time the deadly crop met its match.
We are prioritizing health.
Besides causing cancer, tobacco can also increase your risk for heart and lung disease, diabetes, stroke, and more. But tobacco use isn't the only concern. WHO data reveals more than 7 million acres of land across more than 120 countries are being used to grow tobacco, worsening the ongoing global food insecurity crisis.
350 million people face severe food insecurity. And then countries, especially those countries where those people live, actually use their fertile land to grow tobacco.
Even if they don't smoke, those working on tobacco farms are also prone to severe health complications, besides exposure to large volumes of pesticides.
The people who work in the lands who grow tobacco, they actually consume as much nicotine as is contained in 50 cigarettes a day. Women who are pregnant, and of course to the 1 million children who are also working in the lands.
The WHO is directing a large focus on combating tobacco farming in countries across Asia, South America, and Africa. Worldwide, more than 8 million people die from tobacco every year. While more than 7 million of those deaths are from tobacco use, the WHO says roughly 1.2 million are non-smokers who die from secondhand smoke. Marianne Rafferty, Fox News.
Cancer survivors who don't quit smoking give themselves a higher probability of heart attack, stroke, and death due to cardiovascular disease. Research published in the European Heart Journal found smokers have nearly double the risk as those who never smoked or quit smoking. The study found more than 40% of those who smoked before their cancer diagnosis continued to smoke afterwards. Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast, and later, the Webb City Cardinals prepare for the state baseball semifinals on Friday against St. Francis Borgia.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a nice one for us today. Temperature is pretty good, mid-80s for afternoon highs, but we did have a few isolated little thunderstorms out there, especially late morning, early afternoon. Most of us are dry. Most of us will end up staying dry as we go through the rest of the overnight hours. Nice shot, Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. All right, we've had the scattered showers and thunderstorms, but we need more rain. 4.3 inches is where we're sitting for the month. Of course, tomorrow is June 1st, but look at this. We're over 6 inches below where we should be for this time of the year, so we will take any chances that we can get. Temperature's pretty good. We're at 78 Fort Scott, 75 Neosho, 77 in Miami. Pittsburgh is sitting at 76. We can go outside, 7th and range line. 76 southerly winds, 5 to 10. Dew point at 65, so it's a little sticky out there. As we go through the night, we drop back low to mid 60s. Some isolated thunderstorms again by late morning, back to 79 by 10 o'clock in the morning. But most of us are dry. We had a few isolated guys earlier, and we still do in our far western counties, really Greenwood County down through Elk and Chautauqua counties. But besides that, most of us look pretty good. We got bigger batches of showers and thunderstorms down through the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas. And this batch is going to head toward us. It's just going to fall apart before it makes it here. So I really think most of us stay dry tonight. You can see this twist out toward Las Vegas, upper level low. It's going to shoot little chunks of energy at us as we go through the next few days, giving us chances for scattered thunderstorms. All right, let's go through the overnight hours for us tonight. We drop back 63, 64 degrees, most of us dry. As we go through the morning, partly sunny skies. We do warm, lower 80s by the noon hour. You can see some thunderstorms out to our west. As we get into the afternoon, isolated hit and miss storms pop up again. If you get stuck underneath one of those storms, it could rain pretty good on you, and then they start to die down as we go through tomorrow evening, mainly dry tomorrow night. Then we'll start the day on Friday, partly sunny, mid-60s. We warm up right around 80 by noon, and again, we're going to get scattered thunderstorms popping up once we get into Friday afternoon. This trend really lasts right on into the weekend. All right, 7 a.m. day planner for you, 67 to start. By noon, 83. 4 p.m., 84. I think our high temp right around 86 during the afternoon. Again, we're going to have those isolated thunderstorms pushing into the region. 86 is next couple days, 84 on Saturday, 86 on Sunday. Pop-up storms all the way through the weekend. We do dry out a bit early next week, and then chances for thunderstorms again late next week. But temperatures overall through the period mainly into the 80s, so very summer-like.
For sure. As far as the rain, we're looking forward to it, except for tomorrow night. Hopefully any rain avoids Joplin because the Joplin Outlaws open up. So
it's a season opener.
And we're going to be out there.
Cool.
So I don't want to get rained on. All right. Thank you, Doug. Coming up, the House of Representatives votes to compromise a bill aimed at raising the nation's debt limit. It was a dramatic night in the House of Representatives where a final vote on the bill to raise the debt ceiling passed with help from members on both sides of the aisle, despite some vowing to vote no on the carefully crafted compromise that could prevent a first ever default. But it's not a done deal yet. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera has more from Washington.
After a landslide vote,
the bill is passed.
A bill to lift the debt ceiling is heading out of the House and to the Senate.
Tonight, we all made history because this is the biggest cut and savings this Congress has ever voted for.
Its fate seemed uncertain, with unhappy lawmakers on both sides of the aisle.
While I find this legislation objectionable, it will avert an unprecedented default, which would bring devastation to America's families.
Let's make no mistake about it. This bill doesn't solve all of the problems that have been created over years and decades, but it starts to finally turn the ship of state in the right direction.
But supporters say the benefits outweigh the disadvantages. The passage was bipartisan, with Democrats giving the bill a big lift.
We should not even be having this debate about whether we pay our bills as a country, but we are where we are, and we can't afford to do anything except make sure we pay our bills.
Now the package faces its next big test in the Senate, where some senators are already vowing to vote no.
The big problem here in the legislation is that Republicans got very little, and I think Democrats got effectively everything that they asked for.
One Republican is rejecting that characterization.
We got $1.5 trillion in spending reforms and a number of other important reforms, and net, this is a good thing.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Republican Leader Mitch McConnell want to move quickly on the bill, but they need all 100 senators to agree before they can fast-track the legislation. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
TikTok reportedly stored thousands of U.S. users' Social Security data in China. According to records obtained by Forbes, TikTok has stored a mass of financial data, such as Social Security numbers and tax IDs in China. TikTok CEO testified in March that the company stores American information in Virginia and Singapore. But the report claims the data shows the platform actually stored it in China. But TikTok maintains the data is stored outside of China and is only accessed on an as-required basis by global engineers. It's been 7 months since Elon Musk took over Twitter, and it's now worth about a third of what he paid for it. Musk bought Twitter last year for $44 billion, and even the billionaire entrepreneur accepted he'd overpaid. And the numbers are brutal. The most recent estimate puts the valuation at around $15 billion, $29 billion less than the selling price. That valuation comes from Fidelity's valuation of its own stake in Twitter. It hasn't helped that the social media platform has seen an 89% drop in advertising revenue. Up next, we'll learn about a race around the world by a group of goats in England and how it's raising money. Goats in England are putting their best hoof forward. They are kicking off a 30-day race around the world to raise money for the Zoological Society of London. 9 pygmy goats from the London Zoo are taking on 2 golden Guernsey goats from the Windspade Zoo. Together, they are hoping to walk, cycle, or swim a total of 40,000 kilometers or nearly 25,000 miles during the month of June. That's equivalent to the circumference of the globe. Fans can donate and track progress on the Zoological Society of London's website. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. Coming up, we'll meet a local auctioneer who's competing next week for the title of World Champion. Plus, NASA brings scientists and space experts together to discuss UFO sightings. An auctioneer from the 4 states will be competing next week for the title of World Champion. KOAM's Anthony Saviello has the story.
Justin Dotson is more than just a fast talker. He's an auctioneer with a passion for agriculture, livestock, and community. And now he's about to showcase his talents amongst some of the best auctioneers in the world.
They showcase the talents of the world, of the auctioneers across the United States, and show the industry what a great and vital part that we play in our industry. So my hats are off to livestock marketing. You know, they really do a great job.
According to the Livestock Marketing Association, Dotson will be one of 31 auctioneers to compete in this competition, where they will not only showcase their skill as auctioneers, but their knowledge of the industry as well.
It's different parts of the United States, and it's very competitive. The auctioneers, we're very competitive, but we're very good friends too. It's a great kind of family, and the camaraderie we have is incredible.
The veteran auctioneer has been a part of the auction in Parsons for close to 20 years, and has not only had an influence on the community, but on young people who plan to follow in his footsteps.
And hopefully I can be an inspiration for some young auctioneers or inspiring auctioneers that want to talk to me, and I can maybe give them some words of advice or help them out anyway. I've already had many young auctioneers call me and talk to me, so hopefully I can help them a little bit.
Dotson wants to let people know that auctioneers are more than just fast talkers. They are also a vital part of the livestock community.
One thing that I'm required to do here is I want to get the most I can get for the producer that's bringing their cattle down. A lot of times that income is that might be their yearly income, depending on how many cattle they sell. And many of them have jobs outside the farm to make everything work. But every time I sell cattle, it's part of their livelihood.
Reporting in Parsons, Anthony Saviello, KOAM News.
The Livestock Marketing Association's convention will take place from June 7th through June 10th. If you're interested in viewing the competition of the LMA, you'll be streaming it on Facebook or on their website. Mortgage demand hitting a 3-month low after rates spiked once again. The average interest rate for a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage increased to 6.9% last week. That's up from nearly 6.7% from the previous week. As a result, mortgage applications to purchase homes dropped by 3% since last week and by 31% since this time last year. New data on the job market. The Labor Department reported the number of job openings edged up to 10.1 million on the last business day of April. Jobs openings increased for positions at retailers, warehouses, healthcare businesses, and transportation. Vacancies declined at factories, real estate firms, and state and local governments. Over the month, the number of hires changed little at 6.1 million. Layoffs fell to 1.6 million in April from 1.8 million in March. NASA convened a meeting of scientists and space experts to discuss UFO sightings. The panel hopes to reduce the stigma associated with reporting these objects. Fox News correspondent Jonathan Siri has more.
A NASA panel studying unidentified anomalous phenomena, or UAP, holding its first public meeting on Wednesday. The 16-member group was formed last year to help the space agency evaluate data and understand whether these objects pose a risk to the country's airspace.
The presence of UAPs raises concerns about the safety of our skies. By understanding the nature of UAPs, we can ensure that our skies remain a safe space for all.
Experts stress the need to get higher quality data to evaluate UAPs, more commonly known as UFOs, saying many sensor platforms used to obtain this information are classified. The panel's chair adding that some of the sightings go unreported due to the stigma surrounding the topic.
Commercial pilots, for example, are very reluctant to report anomalies.
And one of our goals in having NASA play a role is to remove stigma.
This NASA panel is separate from a task force recently formed by the Pentagon to detect and analyze objects that could potentially pose a threat to U.S. national security. Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick says while most UAP reports are easily explained, a small number of sightings his team has studied can be described as anomalous.
It is doing something weird, whether that's maneuvering against the wind at Mach 2 with no apparent propulsion, or it's going into the water.
NASA's panel expects to release its final report this summer. In Atlanta, Jonathan Seri, Fox News.
A bit later, why many are leaving the child care industry.
Republicans and Democrats on Capitol Hill clashing over federal funding for child care. I'm Mike Emanuel in Washington. I've got the details coming up.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a nice Wednesday for us today, mid-80s during the afternoon. But again, some isolated thunderstorms out there. In fact, it's still sitting into the mid-70s right now. So a warm night. We'll drop off about another 10 degrees or so. We'll bottom out into the mid-60s for overnight lows. Let's go outside. Here's 7th. Here's range line sitting at 76. A southerly wind, 5 to 10. Humidity, 69%. So not terrible across the region. And through the night, we'll drop back to 67 by 7 a.m. I think our overnight low right around 63, back near 80 by 10 a.m. But some isolated thunderstorms starting to pop up late morning into the early afternoon. Very similar to what we did see during the daytime hours for us today. All this is ground clutter. We do have some scattered thunderstorms, far western counties, but besides that, most of us look pretty good, and that's what we're going to see as we go through the overnight hours for us tonight. Thunderstorms down through the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas. These are working toward us, but are going to fall apart before they make it here. So I think most of us actually stay dry for the overnight. Big area of low pressure down toward Las Vegas. Finally, we got rid of that huge block that we've seen over the past couple weeks, and due to that big dome of high pressure, that's why we haven't seen much in the way of severe weather. But this is going to give us chunks of energy over the next couple days, keeping those thunderstorm chances around as we go into the weekend. So let's step through time. We're going to go through the overnight hours into the morning hours for us tomorrow. Back right around 80, 82 by noon. A few isolated thunderstorms popping up in our far western counties. As we get into the afternoon, hit and miss storms getting going across the region. High temps mainly into the mid-80s, very similar to what we did see today. Any thunderstorms that do pop up fall apart during the evening hours and then pretty quiet for us tomorrow night. Backing down mid-60s once again. As we go into Friday, once we get into the early afternoon, thunderstorms will start to pop up once again across the region and then dying down once again Friday evening. We do it again Saturday. We do it again on Sunday as well. So we are going to have plenty of rain chances. 67 at 7, 83 by noon, 86 for an afternoon high. Let's jump into the weekend. I think a little bit more widespread scattered showers and thunderstorms Saturday afternoon, and even a few sticking around into Sunday. But I think our chances go down a little bit Monday and then start to go back up again by the middle of next week. So we have these chances. Unfortunately, it's not widespread rain. It's very hit and miss across the region. 86 tomorrow, 86 Friday, 84 on Saturday, 86 on Sunday. We're going to have those rain chances sticking around. And then drying out the second half of next week. Rain chances return next weekend, but temperatures pretty good all the way through the period.
Summer is pretty much upon us. Yeah. This is like the perfect time of the year before we get into June and July when it gets...
June 1st tomorrow, believe it or not.
Man,
it's crazy.
You're right. My bad. We are getting into June. Thank you, Doug. Coming up in sports, 6 local college baseball players earn all-region recognition. Plus, Coach of the Year honors for Southeast Kansas softball coach. Jacob Leonard has that and more next.
The Webb City Cardinals are still alive for a baseball state championship. The Cardinals face St. Francis Borgia on Friday afternoon in the Missouri Class 5 state semifinals. For the Cardinals, This is their first appearance in the Final Four since 2010. They head into the weekend with a 22-13 overall record. On the other side, St. Francis Borgia, 24-5, and they're on a roll right now, winning 10 straight to get to the semifinals. So Webb City knows they're in for another tough one Friday afternoon.
I know Borgia's got a really good pitcher. Their number one's a good guy. He's got high velocity, spins it pretty well. He's also their best hitter. So, it's one of those things to where, it's playoff baseball, so you're not really sure exactly what it's going to be like till you get there. So you just kind of go in with a little bit of a game plan as the game evolves. You see guys swing and whatnot, and you try to figure it out from there. But, it's just you play the way you've been doing it all year. You stay within yourself and don't try to do anything too different.
Well, 6 local college baseball players have earned ABCA All-Region honors today. Missouri Southern has 4 on the All-Central Region team, while Pittsburgh State has 2. Now, for Missouri Southern, pitcher Cole Woods is a first-team All-Region selection. Woods was 10-3 this season on the mound for Southern with a 3.71 ERA. Nixon Brandon is a first-team All-Region pick at catcher for the Gorillas. Brandon was also the MIAA Co-Player of the Year. Rounding out the first team, Nate Miskowski and Matt Miller on the infield for the Lions, and Cade Clemens, first-teamer at shortstop for Pittsburgh State. Southern shortstop Henry Kuziak earned second-team All-Region honors. Well, the CNC coaches released their All-Conference softball awards this week. And the Frontenac Raiders have a league-high 8 players on the All-Conference list, and they have the league's Coach of the Year. Frontenac head coach Cassie Rooms has been named the CNC softball Coach of the Year. Rooms led the defending state champions to an 18-4 overall record. The Raiders were co-league champions with Columbus and finished as regional runner-up. We caught up with Coach Rooms to talk about being the Coach of the Year and putting 8 of her players on the all-conference list.
I think a lot of people thought we failed this season because we didn't make it back to the state tournament, which would have been our 4th trip in a row. But we had a great season. The kids worked hard. They showed up every day with a great attitude. They did everything we asked them to do. And we had a lot of fun. And they won a lot of games. They're a co-champ with Columbus for the CNC League, one of the toughest leagues in the state. And, ultimately, in my opinion, I think we had a very successful season, and I think it's a great tribute to them for their achievements, for their accomplishments, for their time, their energy, their commitment, and I'm really proud of them.
Well, that's a look at sports. We're back with more news right after this.
Congress is taking a crack at solving the ongoing child care crisis, with Democrats and Republicans crashing over the role of the federal government. Fox News Chief Washington correspondent Mike Emanuel has more from the nation's capital.
It's no secret the cost of childcare has exploded in recent years, leaving working families struggling to pay the bills. Now lawmakers on Capitol Hill want to do something about it. The Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee holding a hearing Wednesday identifying 3 key problems: the scarcity of childcare, the cost of that care, and the low wages paid to employees who are leaving the profession in record numbers.
As a nation, we often talk about family values and how much we love our children, but unfortunately we have a funny way of showing that love.
Democrats say the solution is to increase funding on the federal level, making the case to extend some $37 billion in child care spending included in the American Rescue Plan. But Republicans are pushing back, claiming more government intervention is not the answer.
It's important to note that it's become more expensive as we've pumped more federal dollars into it.
The fight over funding spilling over into the ongoing debt ceiling debate. But advocates point out the country is already losing billions because of the lack of affordable child care.
So what that'll do is pile on to our $31 trillion in debt. I do disagree with that.
We are losing, as Ms. Hogan said, $122 billion in lost revenue right now. So that is something that we need to think about.
If Congress doesn't act, child care funding from the American Rescue Plan will expire at the end of September. In Washington, Mike Emanuel, Fox News.
Coming up, a school bus driver in Texas assists police by stopping a criminal. A school's bus driver's instincts kicked into gear, and now an assault suspect is off the streets. Fox's Lori Brown has more on that story.
Ms. Riva, on behalf of the entire transportation department and the district, we're just so thankful for you.
Riva, who asked us not to use her last name, says she knew something wasn't right when she saw a man talking with her middle school student at a bus stop the morning of May 18th.
I thought, what is this guy doing? And she got on the bus and she said, Miss, he's saying some weird stuff to me. But you're safe now. You're okay, I've got you.
But thanks to Miss Riva, that was not the end.
And I looked in my side mirror and I thought, he didn't have a front license plate. And I thought, he's getting away. He's just done this and he's getting away. As I turned left to go down the street, I realized that he was going to come out on the street where I was again. So I kind of blocked the intersection where he was to possibly make him go around in front of me so I could get his rear license plate. And that's what happened.
The license plate was associated with a previous arrest of Jonathan Wang Tren by Carrollton Police, a person with a history of arrests in Dallas County. And it turns out Richardson Police were already looking for Tren after an allegation he committed an indecent assault of an Uber Eats driver picking up an order at a Starbucks on East Buckingham Road. Richardson Police spotted him later that morning, as they put it, lurking near Berkner High School following students, and arrested him. Tim Logan, Garland ISD's safety and training manager, says Ms. Riva did exactly what she was supposed to do.
I think this situation will be used in training scenarios in the future. This was a perfect example of protocol and what we train for every day as eyes and ears on the road. Ms. Riva was able to contact dispatch, who was able to contact law enforcement.
Riva, a bus driver for 16 years with the district, says she was just doing her job.
When they get on this bus, they're my kids, and I'm going to take care of them, and I know the other bus drivers feel the same way too.
Good on you, Miss Riva. Good on you. And that's our time for tonight, and thank you all so much for joining us. But before you go, we'll leave you with a video of gibbons at a California zoo. Be safe, and we'll do this all again tomorrow. See you then.